Hey guys, quick little editor's remark here. We did go ahead and delay the release of episode 14. So if you skipped all the way to 15, you might want to go back one episode, maybe watch episode 14, then come back this way. But nonetheless, we hope you enjoy the video. Just make sure you check out episode 14 as well. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 15 of the After Zero podcast. We got the normal crew with us today. How is everyone doing?
You know,
Feeling like
Christmas
shit.
shopping.
Oh, feeling like shit. Christmas shopping. What about you, Nick?
Vibing. We're vibing.
We're vibing. We're
glad-
fucking. No, we're fucking
Vibing.
pumping,
I'm glad you're back,
dude.
Nick.
Yes, sir.
No, we're fucking pumping. That's what.
Oh, you guys
that's
are
what me and Nick
juicers?
doing,
Pumping,
yeah.
bro.
We're
guys are
playing
big
WoW.
juicers
We're
now?
fucking pumpers, dude. Because everyone.
Pumpers.
That's like half the fucking listings in the game right now. It's like
It's
big pumpers.
Pumpers.
Only. Yeah,
Big
it's
Oh my
pumpers
God.
only,
it's
baby.
like
Well-
or like what was the one I read earlier, Nick? Oh, I don't think you were there for that, but it was like, it was like pumping but chill or something. Like
We're talking about WoW Mythic Plus pre-made groups, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the new
You know what-
phrase.
you know what I
everyone's
didn't
doing.
know?
Not even hold on. Not even Mythic Pluses. Like we're talking like
Regular
release
Mythics
day.
too.
Regular Mythics
Yeah.
are pumpers only. It's like, dude,
It's
the
a fucking
expansion
well,
came out
zero.
today.
Like,
Well, what I didn't know is that they they defaulted to having the IO like part of the game now. So like, I see why people are doing that because they're a
Yeah,
bunch of
Mythic
elite as
rating
fuck.
now.
well, I mean, it's just like a rating you get for each dungeon, and then I think it combines them. So like depending
Yeah.
on what level key you do in each dungeon, you get like a rating, and I think
This is
I
just
don't
the
know.
unfortunate side of it.
Yeah, and I mean it's already in the game, so they might as well have their own system. I guess is the
Well-
thought
Yeah.
process. Like,
My favorite is when people are putting listings up for like 375 required item level only
Yeah.
for the groups.
It's like a Mythic 2 key.
Yeah, it's a Mythic 2, and they're like,
Well, that's
we're requiring raid level gear.
that's kind of what we were talking about earlier because me and Jose were playing, and we're both playing DPS. I'm playing Rogue, he's playing fucking Druid, and we literally can't get a group, and we're like both 372, and we just can't get a group
Uh-huh.
for like +4s, and we're like, dude, what the fuck do these people want? You want to know why you're not getting people who are 380? Because they're doing +7s, +8s.
Because 380
Like-
gear just became like widely available with the release of the raid less
Yeah,
than
I
24 hours
just-
ago.
I just don't
Yeah.
even. I don't understand the thought process that goes through whenever people like make these listings. I mean, it's always been that way, but I feel like this expansion, I'm like, what are we expecting? What do we think we're gonna get in these groups? It's just kind
Well,
of
final
annoying.
boss of the raid drops 405 gear
Is that it in normal
Yeah.
mode?
in normal.
Oh, I mean that's not surprising.
I was gonna say that
Right.
sounds about right.
But that's what I'm saying is like people are for like you're saying like Mythic 2 keys. You're like, oh, so 10 item level less.
Yeah,
than
400 eye
raid?
level only, plus Mythic
Okay.
0. You're just like,
Yeah, like it's just ridiculous. I don't know.
I think it's always been like this though. I think it's just now. I don't know. I think it's just more prevalent because there's more systems for them to go off of. So instead of just like eye level, they can be like, well, what's your mythic plus?
What's your
level,
Raider IO?
rating?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was Raider IO for a long time, and that was like an add-on that like only elitist assholes used, in my personal opinion. Because like when we take people, we did a +2 earlier, and we took a tank that was like 350 or something. Because I was like, I don't
Yeah.
fucking care. Like, as long as dude knows how to pull mobs and
Dude,
he doesn't die, like
it'll
we're
work.
good. Like,
We're fine.
It'll work.
Yeah.
but I think people just want like easy, like super easy groups, and they'll
So
like.
how
they'd
did he
rather-
do?
Honestly, it was perfectly fine. Like we were fine. He actually was like over pulling, and I
Crazy.
was like, "Ooh, you got too much dip on your chip.
Okay.
Slow down."
But
Like,
that Demon Hunter tank we just had though.
he wasn't even the best one we've played with today, though. We played
That's
with
crazy.
we played with a Brewmaster monk who was pulling as much damage as I was, and I was like, "Oh,
I mean-
okay, well, you
I was
know."
gonna say, how do you guys feel about that state of WoW, where like tanks are, and AE packs, even sometimes in boss fights?
I think it's
They call
because of the
ridiculous
state of
damage.
it's the state of Mythic Pluses. Like in order to even push high keys, they have to do that much damage, right? So like
Yeah.
they almost have to balance it that way. I mean, right
I was
now
gonna say,
they're doing 10
It's like
to
that too, because
5K less.
healers have to do DPS at high key too. So I think that's weird.
It's always been like that for a little bit. It does depend on the spec. Like I know what you mean. Like there was a long time during Legion where like Holy Paladin was running this like Judgment Crusader Strike build. So
Yeah,
it's also
melee
how you
build.
build. It's also how you build Holy Power anyway. So it's like
Yep.
that's what
That's
the good.
that's still
Paladin
how it
plays
is
do.
right now.
I feel like
haven't
that's-
played it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's honestly the side of the game I don't really like too much. Those with the tanks doing that much damage, because it just feels like as a DPS, it's like it makes you feel like you're not doing your job. I mean, I haven't had this problem with me personally. I'm just saying like when I see myself as a tank doing more than the DPS, It's just like all I did was hit one button, and this is
Mhm.
all my damage. Like
Right,
I
like-
Adventure Shielded, and it killed everything.
It's like the brewmasters are just touch of karming things, and they're like
Yeah,
skyrockets.
Yeah.
And I forgot their other AOE. What's the little
spinning crane. kick.
Spinning crane kick.
spinning crane kick? And then you have demon hunters who use fell bomb and fell devastation. And then you have
Spirit
what's it?
bomb
warrior-
is one that I see.
Spirit
fight
bomb.
them too.
Yeah.
and then you have warrior tanks who they just thunderclap and they do the other thing.
Yeah.
And then I haven't seen a Blood Knight fucking tank in forever. I have not seen.
They're around.
You saw one today. What do you mean?
Dang, Nick, you don't
Oh
even
my God.
exist.
I know. That's what
Okay,
I'm
I
saying,
stand by
bro.
my statement. I still have not seen.
Alright.
No, I mean, but no,
Uh,
seriously, I just mean they're not as like prevalent. Like I've been seeing a lot of more paladins and warriors for sure.
I just feel like
Yeah.
it's just a weird state of the game. Like with the tank being also the #1 damage dealer, it's just weird.
I mean,
It's like
it-
Overwatch.
don't get me wrong. I am embellishing, like, because I did beat that guy by 10k DPS at the end of the dungeon, but I only beat him by 10k DPS. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I did 30, he did 20k, and I was just, like, and that's overall. And then like Nick and Jose did 21 and 24. So
Yeah.
by that standard, they're doing as much as they were, pretty much. You know.
Yeah.
That sounded like a
Right.
slight. I don't know why I positioned it that way. I'm out here
Damn.
like low key throwing shots. My bad,
get
Nick.
it. You're good. You're just better than me.
You weren't even paying attention. Fuck off.
All right, I mean, I haven't even
Oh.
done it yet, so we'll see what happens when I get there.
When
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw how easy that dungeon was gonna be, I was definitely not paying attention.
You don't have to. You always play up to the level of the difficulty. So
Yeah.
like, if I'm pumping hard and the tank's pumping hard, Nick knows he doesn't
I'm
have to, right?
I'm chilling,
Whereas if we're fucking struggling, Nick's top DPS. You know,
Oh, yeah.
he's like, oh, I actually have to play the game.
Yeah, fine. All right, fine. I guess I'll try.
You know, Nick,
Oh,
Prime is
work's
the one
calling
play
me.
Frost DK.
Yeah, every
Right.
time you fucking play with Nick, oh, work's calling. Oh, I got a work call.
Work's
I'm
calling
like,
me.
you work
Oh
at-
man,
you-
that's
you work
crazy.
at- You work at a fucking pizza place. How much do they have to call you about? Hey,
Bro,
get the dough, fucking
My
throw
guy.
the sauce on, put the cheese on there, call it a fucking day.
I don't
Like,
even
I don't-
want to get into this. I don't-
Nick's
this-
dying
this-
inside right now.
Yeah.
You can see
Nick's
it on
like,
his face.
Nick's like, these are the internal conversations I have already. I don't need them
Exactly.
exacerbated on the podcast. Like,
Nick, you need to set your
100%.
background for these to just fire around
dude,
you.
no,
So
he's that dog that's
He's a
sitting
dog
in the
where
house
there's
on
like,
fire.
this
He's
is
like,
fine.
this
So
is
say he's
fine.
just-
This is fine. Yeah.
But I'm just amazed that Nick is like gets called like a Fortune 500 CEO, and he just
Yeah.
works at like a pizza place. Like it's like what level of incompetency does he deal with?
Right.
You know.
Right. What are you running into every day?
But I guess that's what happens when you're at like a
No
pizza
comment.
shop and you have like high
Yeah.
school applicants. I guess that's just like the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish they were 17, 18. Like,
What do you
I
mean by
wish
that?
was
Hold
the
on.
age.
Whoa, go back. What do you mean by
All
that?
right, hold on.
Clip
I
it.
wish
Twitter,
that
do your
was
thing.
like the age
No,
range
get
that
his
you
ass.
guys were like, referring to.
Yo,
but
kick me
unfortunately,
from the call.
these are like 30-year-old people, right?
They're
That's
not
even worse.
majority. Oh.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Oh, so
they're-
it's people who are mentally 16, but they're 14 years older.
right.
Mentally too.
Got you.
Yeah, and it's,
Incapable of cleaning themselves.
So basically, Nick runs his store with affixes every week. It's like fortifying, fucking quaking sometimes. Like it's a whole ass Mythic Plus key, bro.
every day is a different.
Bro, that's just dealing with customers.
Yeah,
What do you mean my
Um,
pizza can't sit in the warmer for 5 hours?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just it gets the simplest questions. But I did have a question for you guys. Did you guys all watch the Game Awards at all?
I watched only the
I saw
trailers for all the
some
new
clips.
games.
I didn't watch it like all the way
What
through. but I
trailers were
watched,
you
like,
guys
two
hyped for?
pieces.
Because I saw some, but there wasn't like I don't know. I don't recall seeing very many where I was like really excited. Besides the Spider-Man 2 reveal, I believe that was at the Game
And-
Awards.
That's really the
Star
only
Wars.
one.
Star
Yeah,
Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Wait, which Star Wars?
Oh,
was it?
the
Uh,
Star Wars sequel for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
right, yeah. No,
I
You
don't
know what's funny?
actually- I don't think
I don't
watched
know
the
if you
trailer.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but apparently there's a contest right now. There was a hidden code in the reveal of the video where you can enter that code in on a website if you find it, right? It's like a little hidden Easter egg in the video to
Okay.
win this huge like collectible box of stuff from them for the game where you get a replica Cal Kesso blade and
Oh, shit,
everything.
that's
like
dope.
it's sick.
So
So
But,
when
it
did
didn't
you,
come out on
hold on.
Reddit yet?
So when did you hear about this?
This was yesterday.
It didn't come
Okay.
out on Reddit yet.
No, I thought this motherfucker Sean was gonna be like, "Oh, the day it came out, I did the code and I signed up for the giveaway."
Yeah, no, I haven't. I didn't go back and look at it. I just thought that was cool. That like after the Game Awards, it was like 2 days later, they just put out a little tweet on Twitter that was like, "So we hid this code in the trailer for the game. If you find it, enter it in on the website,
Yeah.
and you'll be entered in for this giveaway."
On some
So
like
we're just
code
waiting for
breaker
the
shit.
Redditors. Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
waiting for Redditors to take over.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice. But Jared, there
So,
was no other
pretty
game
cool.
really, or did you not really like watch the
I
Game
just
Awards?
like didn't watch it like that. I think those are the only two I like cared about that I heard about.
There's
I
a
didn't watch
game
it
coming
live.
back,
There's a
and
game
that's
coming
Armored
back.
Core.
Armored Core.
I don't. That sounds exciting, but I'm like,
Oh my god.
is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be good? Like like.
I
just
never
get
played
let
an Armored
down.
Core game.
I think
Dude, we
we just get
haven't-
let down with like returning games. Like they're just not what they were. I guess.
Yeah.
Like
I
they
mean,
have.
it's still
could
exciting
see
because
that.
I loved Armored Core.
No, I remember playing
Yeah,
this.
and
It
I
was
haven't
so
played a
fucking
mech game in a
fun.
while, except for
Dude,
like the Gundam Overwatch.
I mean, I was say Gundam Overwatch. I don't go. Was it a Gundam Evolution?
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
probably the closest thing to Armored Core, Sean. And that game plays like how Armored Core played without like. Armored Core is maybe a
Well-
little more on rails. Like you have to move like in a more finite way. I feel like.
when you literally
Okay.
customized every piece of your mech. Like
Yeah.
you chose your weapons, you chose your armor, and you chose your legs, your feet,
Yeah.
your
You know in
arms. like,
Iron Man
all
2
that
when
stuff.
he meets like Hammer Tech, the Justin Hammer,
Yeah.
and he's like
That's
equipping him with all the
basically what you
guns.
do.
That's essentially what you do in Armored Core.
Okay.
But with like a fucking Gundam suit.
it was a
So-
dope ass game.
And
So I'm
it's like
excited for
it's
that
like an
one.
arena too. So you're building your mech for like, arena style combat. So it's pretty
Gotcha.
dope. Like imagine that scene from Iron Man 2 meets like the robot death machines that fight in the little
Yeah.
combine those two concepts and that's Armored Core.
Okay.
I mean,
Gotcha.
the Spider-Man 2 trailer got me really hyped because I just finished Spider-Man PS4 again on PC, and then I played Miles Morales, which I actually think was a little bit like not worth it, to be honest. Like Spider-Man was definitely worth it, but Miles Morales just didn't feel worth it because I think I have 10
Really?
hours played and I completed everything.
Oh. So
And-
the length of the game just wasn't long enough.
It's a $50 title.
You got 10
that's-
hours out of it?
I'm
10
pretty
hours
sure.
out of it,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I got more hours out of the DLC
Well-
content from the first Spider-Man game.
I was
for
I'm sure a
less
lot of it was
money.
like the first one too, huh?
Right, it was. I mean, mind you, the Miles Morales, like some of his, like I think the game's actually just easier because his mechanics are just way easier. Like he has special fucking punches that like one shot people because he has that venom punch, like the hey, from
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And then he has the invisibility as well. So it's just everything's easier for him. So it's just like I don't know.
I'm gonna come back to that so we can talk about everyone's favorite anime character. But what's it called? Before we talk about that, remember what Sean said. Well, we'll talk about that on here. And did you see that Final Fantasy 16 is also coming out?
I was
No,
They had
I
a trailer
didn't.
too.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
They had
the
a trailer
for that.
too.
Yep, they have a
Really?
release date too.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: are they releasing a movie and a prequel, and then like a DS game or whatever the fuck they did last time?
Like 15.
Okay, honestly
Yeah,
I
though,
hope it's
Final
not the
Fantasy
same.
15 Kingsglaive is so fucking good. As far as animated movies go, if you have not seen it, it's actually super fucking good. Highly underrated. I feel like it flew under the radar just because of the way it released and kind of the whole thing around 15 at the time anyway. But the movie is so good, and the voice of the character, which kind of makes me laugh, is Aaron Paul. So like half the
Okay.
movie I was thinking like, that's right, bitch.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Mr. White.
like
Mr. White.
But he does a really good job. His voice acting
Magnets.
is really good. The script is really good in my opinion. So like there's a lot of like notable moments in it.
Yeah.
It's just
No, and the fight
That's-
scenes are just so well done.
I was gonna say I think that's the best thing that came out of Final Fantasy 15 in my opinion was the actual fucking prequel
Oh,
movie.
100%.
Okay.
I'm with
It
that
made me
100%.
buy the game by itself, like legitimately, because I was like, hold
just
up,
to be disappointed.
this is this shit. I was like, I'm buying it, and then I played it for like half a day, and I was like, what the fuck kind of Backstreet Boys NSYNC shit is this? What in the big time rush fucking fantasy mission am I on right now? Like, I don't know.
Have you guys seen any footage of High on Life, that video game that just released?
I don't even know what
What
that
is
is.
that?
Okay, so it was funny because they previewed it at the Game Awards last year. It's a game that's a like first person like alien shooter story driven, right?
Mhm.
But it has guns that talk to you. that have
Oh.
like
Oh,
faces on them.
I have seen clips of this
What?
game.
And
Yeah.
it's the voice of
Dude.
the main gun that you have is Morty from Rick and
I
Morty.
was okay, so it is him.
Wait,
and I was
wait.
gonna
Does
say
he
it sounds like
sound
him.
like Morty though? Where he's like,
Yes,
are you
yes,
gonna shoot the
yes.
gun or like?
So,
literally sounds just like
it's like
him.
that. So at one point, like when you first pick him up during the game, if you pause the menu and then unpause it, he's like, "Okay, we're just gonna fucking pause the menu
Yeah,
in
he's
the
like,
middle
why
of
the
a
fuck are
fucking
you
gunfight.
pausing?
Like, why the fuck are we
Really?
pausing?" Yeah, dude,
Oh,
it's hilarious.
You know what? You know what? I actually remember from the Game Awards. There was one other title I didn't even know was having a sequel. Was Hades 2.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
forgot
know-
about
Yeah.
that. That it's, I
Hades
And
still,
too.
I
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
played it, but everyone it was like Game of the Year at one point,
I
wasn't
know.
it?
I feel.
Yep.
I still feel like a jackass because our one buddy bought it for me, and I still haven't touched the
Oh.
game or like installed it.
Yeah, you haven't even touched it. I mean, it's on Game Pass too. I was thinking of playing it. I actually probably should. Like, that's probably a good title to play, but I've never gotten into it.
That game
Nothing
High on
but good
Life's also
things.
on Game Pass.
Yo,
I can't wait to
Microsoft
play
Game
that shit.
Pass, that thing's insane.
Dude,
Yeah.
Game Pass is still like the best service, and it's still the same price. Like, I don't think they ever increased the price, and it's
Yeah.
like the other day I was talking to Victor, and he was trying to buy Forza Horizons or whatever. And he bought it
Yeah.
on G2A, but he bought a fucking Steam account version, not even a CD key. He
Oh,
was like, I
God.
fucked
Oh
up.
my god.
So he's refunding it, and I was like, why don't you just use Game Pass? He's like, wait, it's on Game Pass? Like, the amount of
Everything's on Game
titles,
Pass.
yeah, the amount of titles, like if it's Microsoft at all, it's on
Mhm.
fucking Game Pass. It's crazy.
That's the reason I check Game Pass before I buy any games.
Right. Like, it's that.
Like,
and
at all. I
actually,
check it first.
It's that, and they also have like EA Play or whatever. What is it? You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about?
Yeah,
That
EA
one.
it's-
Play.
it's-
That's
It's like
it.
$5 more, I guess, with Game Pass. You get EA Play.
Yeah, and that one has like even more fucking titles. Like pretty
Yeah.
much everything that was on the previous like Origin subscription is on EA
Yep.
Play, or it's EA
Yep.
Play now. So
Did
I don't
you
know,
guys,
those-
oh,
What?
go on.
no, you're good.
No, I was gonna say, did you guys see the Tekken 8 gameplay
Mhm.
at all?
I didn't actually
Oh,
watch
yeah.
the gameplay. I didn't
What
watch.
do you-
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
It
at
was
all.
very, very brief. The trailer was.
What
But
do
it
you
looks
think about
dope.
it, Chris?
It's
excited
a
for it at all?
it's a very interesting approach and very different from how Tekken's normally played right now, because they're actually taking an approach where the game is super aggressive. They have this mechanic called heat, where it's like you do your move and your person flashes white and they like dash forward to like
Okay.
Mhm.
continue the pressure on your opponent. So it's a very aggressive game where Tekken is usually a game of like spacing and footsies. So it'll
Right.
be a very interesting approach seeing how this like turns
Basically.
out.
Yeah,
It's like
is
super
that heat
advanced dive
mechanic
kick.
the
Is that what you're
sprint?
saying?
Is it like that
It's-
sprint mechanic that was shown in the trailer?
Yeah, it's the one where they flash
Okay.
white and they like dash forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, especially in something like Tekken. Like I said, it's very different from other gameplay, and it makes me wonder if people are going to have, because Tekken's known for being a legacy game, where legacy meaning that if you played the other Tekkens, you can play this Tekken because a lot of
Right.
the moves stay in the game, and they just grow as the game grows,
Yeah.
and as new
Okay.
iterations come out. So that's what Tekken known for, and I'm wondering if that'll still be the case with something like this, because that just turns a lot of people very insane and others not so much.
So
Especially like Tekken doesn't usually have defensive options except for hey, block high or block low, or
Yeah.
tech the grab. So
On,
it's very interesting.
on the topic of fighting games, has everybody seen the Project L update?
The one that came out,
was
before
it
the
like-
Game Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the Game Awards. Has everybody seen
Okay,
it? Nick,
I'm
you've
not.
seen it?
Hold on. I'm
Yes,
not gonna
I've seen
lie.
bits and
Before
pieces.
you get into it, I feel really fucking stupid because I watched that video, and I don't know if I just lost track of time. He's like, "We're not gonna have an update till next year." I was like, "Next year? Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?"
dude,
I was
no,
like,
he said that. I was like, oh, he's fucking with people saying it in that term.
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's fucking
Are you like,
November
it's 2 weeks
28th.
away?
Yeah, it's like
Right.
November 28th. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I
Yeah.
got, but I definitely got.
Honestly, that makes me even surprisingly even more excited for the game now, from what I saw with that.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
that
Like-
game has insane movement mechanics
Yeah.
and
Also,
insane
the-
like
the
fucking
two-man
dual.
tag, like,
Yeah.
no, that
Yeah.
that absolutely is my favorite part of the.
How do you
Well,
guys
the
feel about the combo breaker being on tag? And
I-
only
I-
once per
I'm
match.
actually so I feel like this is a very conversation to be had. Kind of like you know how we have a big issue with like CC in games? It's like when you die in
Yeah.
CC, it feels bad. Combos are essentially kind of the same thing, right? In a fighting game. So I
Mhm.
really like that they're bringing in a combo breaker mechanic into the game to give you a chance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to fight back.
So
Well,
the thing that
that's
I
like whenever
that
you get like TOD'd, you're like, can I play the game? Or like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
like, or like as a new
See-
player, you're like, cool, I got one opportunity to find an opening, and then I'm dead for that round, and then that happened 2 more times, and the game's just over. So it's
Yeah,
not.
and
Yeah.
I mean they're not the first ones to bring it in, but I'm glad they are choosing to have this mechanic in the game because now there's another mind game level into the game where it's
Yep.
like you're comboing somebody, and it's like if you have a read on someone, you stop your combo, they burst, they miss, and you punish them again.
Yep.
Like it adds more layers.
That's what
to
I
the
was gonna
game.
say. The
feel like
mind gaming aspect of it is sick.
It's one of those things where it feels super comfortable to have towards like casual people. Like you said, it gives them an opportunity to break certain combos, but it's also like there's a skill ceiling there, right?
Right.
Or whereas like if you get really good at using it, then you can use it to mind game people and to really manipulate matchups, right?
It's one of those
So-
perfect like scenarios where it's good for casual players, and it's also like really good for high end players at the
Right.
same
High level.
time.
Exactly.
It's just good for all aspects of the game. So, and like you
Yeah.
said, like there has been other ones like Strive kind of has like that, like break type of thing, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But-
they have a
but-
burst mechanic. Yeah.
but not like I don't know, not to the same extent, I would say. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I mean the
I
gameplay.
also-
Oh,
Yeah,
go
I was
ahead,
gonna say the
John.
gameplay looks super polished as to the last Project L update we had,
Yeah.
where the characters and everything didn't look as pretty, and so that's making me think that this game is going to be ready to release at least by next summer.
I mean, honestly, like I love the style that they chose, and also combos seem really fucking long in this game. Like I don't know if that's
Yeah.
gonna stay in the game, but they seem really long. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting, like the fight timer they have in the game as well, mixed in with it. But
Do you mean like the
I said,
game? Do you
I'm
think
excited.
when you say combos are long, are you referring to the overall game speed and the way the combos are, or the combos are like a lot of hits?
So actually, so
it's-
to me, the game actually looks a little slow, but the
That's what I
combos
thought.
themselves have a lot of hits in them, which makes them a
Mhm.
lot longer combos. Is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
But do you
yeah,
think
more.
that it only seems that way just because of how slow the game is?
Yes and no. Like there's definitely more hits than most games. Like if you compare it to a footsie game like Street Fighter, there are definitely longer combos. Actually, I can't even say that with the new characters that come out, but it's that's not usually it. But like in a game compared to like Marvel's Capcom, it's kind of the same length where like combos can go like on forever, where you can do like touch of death. Same thing with like Dragon Ball Fighters. Longer combos than Strive. So it's interesting. But like I said, the gameplay looks a little slow, but I also think that's because of the state that they're in right now.
Yeah.
Is like
Okay.
that speed. I don't feel like that's going to stay in the game because it looks like they're moving through mud sometimes.
Yeah,
I could see that.
but even like when Echo combos and stuff, when you watch some of that, I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, just the way he moves is a little slower. But it looks really good. Like I like the pace because you get to really see your character do the move.
That's
Also
actually what I was
getting the
about to say. Yeah.
impacts.
Yeah.
Like, because one of the things about fighters, I love fighters to death, but holy shit, sometimes I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, it's cool because I got hit 1,000 times. I don't know by what. The screen's just flashing a lot.
Right.
And I kind of got flashbanged, but it's okay. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's-
but
that's
can we
definitely a
talk
thing.
about the biggest fighting game reveal of the Game Awards?
Street Fighter
What?
6?
Crash Team Rumble.
Wait,
What
what?
the fuck is that? Wait, what?
Crash
Crash.
Team Rumble.
Team Rumble.
How
What
did I
the
miss
fuck
this?
is that?
Are we talking about
Is that-
Crash?
Is that like
As
some
in
Crash
Rumbleverse type of shit, but like Crash
Like Crash Bandicoot
Like
or what?
Crash Bandicoot.
Like on some
Yes.
on like
Look
some
it up.
some DKO Crash Bandicoot shit or
So
what?
this is funny because I typed in Crash Team Rumble, and the first one from like Top Story from Screen Rant, the title is just Crash Team Rumble multiplayer is the series' worst move yet. Like I know nothing about it. That's just the first thing that I read. Yeah, no. What is it, Nick? 'Cause I definitely did not see that.
So this is on Polygon.com. Crash Bandicoot returns with a new multiplayer action game from developer Toys for Bob. It's called Crash Team Rumble. Here's the gist: players will beat each other up as they fight for Wumpa Fruit. It's expected out on PlayStation 4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X sometimes in 2023.
Damn.
So-
Okay.
Crash
Yeah.
Team fucking Rumble.
That's
Wait, did
you know
they
what's
say
crazy?
PC or just
You
console?
know what's crazy? I'm gonna look at it. You know, I'm
It
gonna
looks,
give
it
it.
looks like just console though.
It does look like just console, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Aw.
majority, I don't know. It'll probably come. Like a lot of those PS5 games are coming to PC now.
Right.
Like I am waiting for God of War, like we talked about. I'm excited for that. But
Yeah.
speaking, I mean,
I'm
speaking
glad
on
you,
the,
I was gonna say I'm glad you brought up DKO because I'm addicted to that game.
yeah, I was actually gonna go in a different direction though. Like we were talking about the Game Awards and like what games we're excited for. But
Yeah.
did you guys actually see like the awards? Because God of War won
No.
like God of War Ragnarok won
Narrative.
best screenplay or best narration, best voice actor or best voice actor performance, best soundtrack or best whatever.
Mhm.
And then Elder Scrolls or Elden Ring won Game of the Year, and people were like, "How do you win all these awards
Every
for
other
every
category?
aspect of the game
Well,
except
I think
for Game of the
Elden
Year?"
Ring
Like,
won like 3 other categories as well, though.
it
Did
was.
they? I didn't watch it.
I know
so.
that God of War won like 4 different awards, and then Elden Ring ended up winning Game of the Year. So people were like very.
Yeah.
It was like a whole thing because, I mean, everyone expected Elden Ring to win. Some
Well, they
people
also
Yeah.
won best game direction and things like that for Elden Ring.
did they
Yeah.
game direction.
But I
It's the
mean,
same game.
but honestly, like, I don't know. It makes sense to me that Elden Ring won over God of
No,
War.
I'm totally cool with that. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I think that the game had a lot of hype, but I also think like I don't know. I don't think it has like lasting power. Like, I don't know if I don't think that Souls games like no one goes like, "What's your favorite single player game?" Like, oh, what's really memorable? Fighting the fucking Phalanx in Demon Souls, the original one, the first boss. That's just such a like no. All those
Yeah,
fights
no.
fade together. I don't know of many fights in that where you're like very like that you're so engrossed by. Whereas like I think of games
Yeah.
like Shadow of the Colossus, there's a
Yeah.
similar play style. And I think of each boss individually as like a unique experience where I don't really get that from Elder Scrolls, which is probably why I'm so critical of it.
Yeah.
Just because that's the same genre to me. Those are the same style games. But one has a unique experience and like a lot more creativity in the gameplay and like storytelling through the monsters.
Well, I definitely don't like Elden Ring is definitely not my type of gameplay. I don't enjoy the gameplay of it, but I feel like I've heard differently. Where it's like there's a lot of you know how you guys talked about Breath of the Wild before being an open world game and it's very empty.
Yeah.
Elden Ring is like the exact opposite from what I hear from everyone and what I see. And also like there's still secrets being found out to this day in Elden Ring
That's
because
true.
of the
They
massive
just added the
expanse of it.
Coliseum and shit too to the game.
That's true. I have
Yeah.
heard that as well. I just mean like the general gameplay of the bigger fights just seems so dull that and then a lot of the game is like
Roll.
it's a lot
Roll.
more trickery. Like
Dodge
if you
roll.
think
Dodge
about
roll. Hit.
in
Dodge roll.
Demon Soul, not Demon Souls. What is the one after Demon Souls? It was Demon Souls, then it was
Dark Souls?
Dark Souls. In Dark Souls 3,
And it was Souls.
in Dark Souls 3, there's like a character that literally is stealthed and fucking backstabs you in this castle. Okay?
Yeah.
Like there's so many traps that aren't even like dungeon crawly style of traps like that. I don't know. And just the style of the game, there's a lot of things that miss for me where I'm just like, it's just ways to fuck you and that's it. It's not
Yeah.
like from a storytelling perspective. And now mind you, that character does have a little bit of a story, whatever. But it's not the focus. Like the focus is fuckery, but what's the excuse? Like that's how I see it.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like we talked about
Like-
before, it's a very unforgiving game where it's like you just make one mistake and you have to start over. So like that's what makes it hardcore.
It's like taking the saying like "fuck around and find out," but you don't even get to fuck around. You just find out. You know, like that's just
Right.
the
They skip.
entire, you
They
know?
just skip the
Yeah.
No,
whole-
honestly,
It kinda-
that's a
you
good
know,
way of putting it, Nick.
Like,
I think
you don't
it
even
kind
get
of
to mess around with it.
Yeah, but
I
that's
think it
so
kind of
true.
hits in that same category as like Super Meat Boy, right? Like Super
I don't
Meat
even know
Boy
what
is
that
that
is.
whole. Do you know what it is? You never played Super Meat Boy?
I've never played Super Meat Boy.
know
Okay,
what
Super
you're
Meat
talking
Boy. Super Meat Boy is a platformer, right? Like think Mario, but it's like you have to learn each level, and it's how many times you die on that level. Like it's a frustration type game where like you're trying to do precise platforming jumps. Like the game feels really good input wise, and so
Yeah.
you have to sit there and like they're
Mm.
timed jumps or timed runs through the platformer, right? And there's tons of hazards, and the whole thing is like you die to like the most minuscule jump like a minute into the run. You're like, fuck.
Mm.
Then you have to restart again. There's no like checkpoints,
That
nothing like
just
that.
sounds
so.
like Geometry Dash. Just kidding.
It
I mean,
essentially
it's
just
essentially like
like
the same idea, right?
yeah,
It's Geometry Dash, getting over it. fucking
Yeah,
what's the
yes.
night game? What's the jump night? Or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever?
Then
Yes.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the same
Yeah.
genre, like
Right.
all
And
those
that's why I
games
play
follow the
El-
philosophy, like the same sort
Yeah.
of mindset.
where it's like we need to be complete like 100% punishing for the game to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, it was like those guys who were like, remember when games were hard before? And they're like, yeah. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
what if
we're just gonna
everything
make
one
that.
shots you? And you're like, okay. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like a weird case with Elden Ring too is I've seen other people like playing the game where they have a lot of vigor, which is like a lot of HP bar, and the boss still one shots them.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So
it
and
makes your
I don't know the
characters...
details of the stats in the game, but it's very odd to see like the same thing happening to this person as a person who didn't put any points into vigor.
It's one of those things of it doesn't, like, the power creep of the game doesn't make sense because, like, you kill this thing, you get stronger. It doesn't always feel that way with Elden Ring. Like, that style of game, it just feels like the difficulty stays the same and you're never rewarded for getting better shit. It just feels like you get all this better shit because the shit gets dumber. Like, you just find out. You just keep finding out. Like,
The best that I've seen is like somebody who dumps all of their points into vigor, right? The boss that used to one shot them hits them to 5% health, right? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. So he can eat one hit. He can mess up once. He can miss his dodge roll one fucking time.
Yeah.
Like that type
yeah,
of shit.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel rewarding as like
Look,
a player.
guys, we just
I
have to
don't know.
get good. That's all it is, guys.
I mean, I
Dodge
get
roll,
it,
dodge
right?
roll,
I mean,
dodge roll, hit, dodge roll.
like the
dodge
thing
roll.
is I feel like it's one of those games where it's like almost easy to cheese as well. Like you're more inclined to cheese things. Like when I was playing, I like got on my horse
Well,
and
that's spells in that game.
I just started slashing shit, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, like
Yeah,
the guys
there's
doing the
like
Kamehamehas
spell-
and shit.
Yeah, spell builds
Yeah.
in that game that just like kill bosses in one cast. I'm just like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
I guess,
it's just I don't know. It's just not a compelling way to do an RPG game for me. But I understand why people like it. Don't get me wrong. I think you get
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of satisfaction from the completion of it. I just also like getting a reward. Like I don't feel like I ever get something back. I just lost a lot of time. I was frustrated for a lot of it, and
So
then
the
I just
accomplishment
did
isn't
it
enough
again.
for you.
Right.
No, because I still have to keep playing the game.
Right.
So
It's almost like they could really take. I feel like they could really take that dungeon crawler aspect of like when you beat a boss, you get like a unique upgrade that allows you to do like things much differently than you'd normally be able to. Whereas I feel like in Elden Ring or even Elder Scrolls games in general, like you don't get that unlock ever.
You know, like when you played Jack 2, and he like unlocked the angel power after you got to a certain point in the game. Like I got my reward because I did the thing. Or like
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, you did these levels, so you unlocked these guns that have like very unique gameplay
Right.
styles. Whereas like Elden Ring, I just don't think there's enough uniqueness to the weapons, or not that I've seen, mind you, to the
Yeah.
weapons or to the spells, where I'm like, ooh, that's a new gameplay. It's just like, this is ridiculously OP, and this is like slightly OP, and then this is fucking nothing, and this is like the nothingness takes up way more space.
And you
So,
still got a dodge roll, single hit, dodge
Right,
roll, dodge
yeah.
roll, dodge roll.
Yeah, it's like every fight is essentially how many times do I dodge roll to get one or two
Well-
hits in. And
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
we'll see how we feel after we play the multiplayer together.
Whenever you fucking decide you want to do it, you know.
Oh, it's me that decides?
Wow, it's just WoW and
you.
DKO
I
for
mean,
me.
I get that though.
WoW and
DKO's actually like one of those games where it looked like silly, and I was like, oh, I'll try a 3D platformer, but it's like way more fun than I thought it would be.
Right. And
It's
that
also-
was the
I need to try someone who isn't King Arthur.
yes, yeah.
That's absolutely.
I just
true.
have 14 straight
motherfucker-
levels on King Arthur only.
This dude is playing the most vanilla character in the game. Like, ugh.
I really
Yeah.
just like the approach that they took with it though. Basically taking that Smash formula, right? But really putting a unique, interesting twist on it, like to make it their own, right? To where they made it that whole 3D platformer-esque type of game,
Yeah.
right? Like I think that's like really fucking cool
My,
that they were able to do.
my only gripe with the game is developers. You gotta come up with something better than immunities.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
there's better ways to approach the game than giving people immunities, especially when there's
Well,
no counterplay to it.
I think part of that though too is that like it feels bad when you have an ultimate and it's supposed to be like an ult. I think that ults happen too quickly in the game. Like you can build an ult fairly quickly and they're not rare enough to where immunities make it to where it's like, oh cool, so every 30 seconds you just have an immune ability. Whereas if the ults charge rate was way slower, like it would feel less oppressive. And on top of that, like I don't think you'd have the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, well, yeah,
except
he
for
has
the
ult,
fact-
you know, like you play more around it.
Except for the fact that you can just dodge every ult in the game.
True.
Yeah,
True.
well,
To me,
I'm just
I
saying that,
see that. To me, that's a problem. Personally,
that you
Really?
can
Like,
dodge every ult.
yeah, that you can dodge. Like, if it's proximity based, like a good example is like I've been playing a lot of Soul, right? So she launches this giant fireball down onto people, and people are dodging inside of the ult, but after their dodge is finished, but because they dodged while the ult hit, they're still in the radius, but they don't take damage.
Yep.
Like
Right,
that
they
Oh,
makes
have,
no.
they
the
have,
That
the
they
makes
have
animation of it.
iframes.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah, the
iframes is just it's just dumb when it comes to ultimates because I'd understand if you dashed out of the way of the ultimate, but the fact that you dashed and you were still in the radius of where it hit, but you didn't take damage.
Yeah.
What's the point of the ultimate ability at that point?
Get good. Get good.
Say I think he said get good, but only
Get
good
good.
came through.
Yeah, just
No,
get good.
I mean, I get it, but like,
I'm
I
kidding.
just no, I know, but to me, I don't like that about the game.
I mean,
Perfectly.
yeah, no, I can see what you're talking about because it's like this dodge isn't a dodge. You're basically making your character invincible, right?
Right. That's
Like
that's what I'm
it's
getting
not just a dodge. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I think
I
Yeah.
don't necessarily have too much of an issue with that, just because of like how the gameplay is. Like, there's
Yeah.
no other defensive in the game besides this dodge, and with the amount of tracking in the game, I feel like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually wish
just-
it was more similar to like Conan. You know how Conan has like you're a lighter character, so you have a long roll, whereas like you're a medium character, you have a medium roll, and then you're a heavy character who like hits harder and takes less damage. You have like a smaller dash. I think that sort of approach to it would change it because I definitely agree with Chris. Like because of the way the systems are and the way the game is, you have to have that iframe because there's no other way around stuff, or everything will just be free, and it's just a race to see who hits first, right? But at the same
Yeah.
time, I agree that it feels bad, and like I do it to people all the time. Like I said, if your mirror tries to ult you, just dash through him because it's free. Like
Yeah.
Right.
his
So,
ult
like,
is terrible.
So there was a game that kind of took that approach to it by the name of For Honor, which had heavier characters moving
All right.
slower, lower dodges, and
All right, guys.
I'm
Well,
gonna be
thank you
honest
for
with
tuning into episode 15.
fighting certain characters in For Honor with that felt terrible when you were playing a heavy
Hold on,
character.
hold on. You're comparing a completely
Same.
different game that has 1,000 other balance issues besides the one singular system that you're bringing up.
I
You're
was
bringing
just
up-
talking about the
You're
movement
bringing up
system.
a singular system in a game that has terrible systems surrounding
I
it.
honestly wouldn't even say that's what felt bad about For Honor. Like for me, the issue with For Honor is like some
Revenge.
characters having mixed. Oh, I mean, I'm not even talking about revenge. That's the worst mechanic that's ever been in a fighting game I've ever played. Because
Yeah.
it just makes no sense, and I don't know why we got to like. God, I guess we can talk about this topic now.
No,
Like, all right, so comeback mechanics in fighting games weren't a thing before. It's something that's come up very recently. It's a part of like every fighting game. So when you think about comeback mechanics, you're talking about Rage from Tekken, Revenge from For Honor.
Your
You're
burst
talking
from Dragon Ball
about
Fighters, right?
no the not the burst. It's called Limit Break in Dragon Ball, where when you have one character, you're a little bit faster and you do more damage. There's also kind of X Factor and Marvel's kind of a thing. But when you think of clips from before, like Third Strike and Marvel's Capcom 2, right? Justin Wong versus IFC Yipes in Marvel's Capcom 2, when he came back with one character, Cyclops, against IFC Yipes' three characters, right? Like that's probably the second biggest fighting game clip of all time, and the first one being Daigo versus Justin, where he parries him
Yeah.
to
The
high
Daigo
hell
parry.
and then kills
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Like those are made epic because of those things, and I feel like comeback mechanics should take away from that. And I really am not a fan of comeback mechanics, and I wish they would die off.
well, because it
but it
makes it
feels
to
like
where
we're
it's,
diving more into it.
it feels like the comeback mechanics take away from those moments. Like those moments are possible and they're huge. Like that Daigo Justin Wong one is so huge because of the stakes, right? Perfect inputs to parry
Frame
every
perfect.
single kick.
Frame
right?
perfect inputs.
Right. Whereas like now with comeback mechanics, like, oh, it's because he has like X Factor where he just does more damage, he's faster. And like it's like
Well,
remember how
it's
Phoenix
rewarding
Force
for
used to
getting your
work?
ass kicked. You're getting
Yeah.
rewarded for literally
Yeah.
getting your shit pushed in.
Yeah. It's like everyone used to run fucking Phoenix in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Remember? Because
Yeah.
like when she got it and you like pop X Factor and she's the last one left, she's just so fucking strong. And
Yeah, she's
it
so
just
fast.
it just
and
makes
everything
it to
else.
where it's like silly where you're just like, oh, I'm glad I beat a third of his team because he still has 2/3 left, and that 2/3 is actually one person somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just
But
makes
Yeah,
the
it's-
power
it takes
dynamic bad.
it forces those comeback moments to happen, right? Instead of just allowing them to happen naturally.
Right.
It gives
Right.
an excuse as to why the comeback happened rather than he's just good.
Mhm.
You know
No,
what I
it
mean?
doesn't.
I think that's why it detracts from it.
Like I said, I really hope Riot doesn't put one in. Like, honestly, just don't reward people for losing. Like,
I mean,
that's
they
all I'm
added
saying.
objective bounties to League of Legends, so
Dude, it's literally the same shit in League of Legends. Like, oh, are you
Yeah.
down? Well, if you
Oh,
get
I
a
forgot
turret
about
and
that,
you
you're
get a
right.
dragon, or you
Yeah.
get this, you get an objective. And like the thing with me though is like, I don't know, it just feels like sometimes the games are really close, and so teams almost get rewarded for being a little bit down.
yeah.
Like they're still in the game, or like they have a late game team, right? They have like a Cho'Gath, or they have like a Nasus or something, and because of the objective bounty, it now snowballs them faster in that late game, and it
Yep.
just doesn't take any of that into consideration. That some characters are just better at other aspects of the game.
Right.
So I think that it was specifically with MOBAs, right? I think that what they were going for, right, is the fact that in pro scene, when you're watching LCS, it's never fun to watch one team get an early lead, which is a problem just in MOBAs, right? Get an early lead, and then the rest of the game is just this oppressive ass get fucking rolled for 20 minutes,
Oh, that's
right?
pretty fun
And
to
then
me.
you lose, right? Where it's just a one-sided game. There's no way the other team can come back at all.
So
You're getting shit on
So
the
you
entire
could-
time.
I know you're playing devil's advocate, Sean, but I completely disagree.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. If that's the case and you don't want that, then you would just ramp up the time it takes to go from early game to mid game. But that's not the case. Like,
Right.
like you wouldn't spend 15 to 20 minutes in the fucking lane if that was the case. Like, I don't see how. Oh, these people are sitting in lane and there's like a power struggle that doesn't get resolved until 20 minutes later. And it's boring. It's like, okay, so just ramp up the time it takes to get past the early levels. Like it takes less
I
experience
agree.
to level, shit like that. I just
Yeah,
don't see
I
what that was
agree.
the solution. Like
I'm just
know.
saying that, like, I think that's part of it is
You're
they
wrong.
wanted games to have some
wrong.
kind of interaction in team fights where it was entertaining
mean,
to watch
it's-
rather
it's
than just
ju-
people getting fucking rolled the entire time.
I mean, it's definitely the
Um,
reason why they do it.
right,
Like I
but-
said, it's just weird that we're rewarding people for losing the game.
That's the thing is it's like this is a competitive game, and what you grew up playing sports, right? And what sport have you ever played where there's a fucking comeback mechanic? Like,
Oh, hold on,
Uh,
hold on.
you're down,
Hold on,
you're
hold
down
on,
5
hold on.
goals in lacrosse. Well, the next goal the other team scores is worth 2
There is
now.
a comeback mechanic. It's called putting in your second string.
it's called referees.
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Hold on,
It's
hold
called
on.
Like,
referees
I
with yellow
actually-
flags.
That actually
Right.
stems
No.
me into something though, because I agree with you. Like, there's not comeback mechanics in real life, right? And that's
Right.
like one of the biggest things is you're trying to even the playing field, and that's not the point of a competitive game. We're here
Right.
to see asses get clapped.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
they started off on the same level.
Right.
You already
Right.
started the game that way, so let it play out. It's like
Right.
is where
It's
I'm
like,
at.
you know,
that's how
equality
you
of
get those
opportunity versus equality of outcome, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
that's the competitive nature right there. You start on equal footing.
That's it. Period.
And that's it.
That's literally how you get these moments made is from those people being down with like everything is stacked against them and they come back.
Yeah.
Like that's how
Right.
you make those moments. And because now it's like what Sean was saying before, where you take away from those moments because it's like, well, that game has a comeback mechanic. So you lost half the crowd now that could have made this moment big because you have that comeback mechanic.
And it's not
Yeah.
the deck was stacked against him from like the get go. It was decisions that he made during that fight
Right.
that put him in that position. Right? So it was all on him. And at the end of the day, he was able to overcome his own obstacles and make a good comeback without the help of the game, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So I think that's just like, I don't know.
Bro, like imagine if like when the Falcons and Patriots Super Bowl, they're like, yeah, the Patriots get a free extra touchdown on their first touchdown back because they haven't scored
Right.
in 3 quarters. Like
Exactly.
they actually
It doesn't
get
make sense.
they actually get a free 2-point conversion every touchdown now for the rest of the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like that's essentially what it is.
There is a comeback mechanic. It's called food stamps.
No,
Right.
Jared.
It's
instead of getting
called
free-
unemployment
instead of
and food stamps.
Yeah,
And instead-
unemployment.
instead of getting free points, right? It's the other team loses a player and the other team gains one.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have
They-
they have 10 players on the field versus 12.
Yeah.
12 on 10.
That's essentially what
Yeah.
it's like, though.
Yeah.
I do have a
I mean,
question though. Like
that's hockey.
talking about real sports, though. I do have a question for you guys. So there's been a lot of controversy. I'm curious what you guys think of this on an esports level and on like a regular sports level. But there's been a lot of conversation because in basketball, like Zion, the Pelicans were beating. I forgot who they were.
Oh,
playing.
you're
the
talking
Suns.
about the dunk?
They were beating the Suns, and this motherfucker just slammed one down like hard as fuck, like showboating, right? And
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
were all pissed about it, and I don't know. I've always been under the impression like, if the rules of the game, like the game's not over, like why would I show pity? Like that's almost worse sportsmanship to me to be like, I know you're getting fucked, so I'm gonna stop trying because the other team's never gonna not try. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I want to
the
get dumpstered
preface-
hard as fuck so that I can go home and cry about it.
Right.
And then
It-
next week I won't let myself get fucking dumpstered like that again. The fuck?
Yeah. Well, and the reality of it too is it's like he made a play on the ball where I think there's like something like 12 or 13 seconds left or whatever, and they were up by like 6 or 7. I don't remember the exact score or whatever, but like the other team's still trying to win the game at that point.
Right.
So
Mhm.
like he makes a play, and
Yeah,
in
so
my
I-
mind, this play is a statement, right? The
Yeah.
dunk is saying go home,
Like
goodbye.
solidifying the
Right.
lead.
Start the
Right.
buses.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
what was the entirety of the situation? Because I really
So
don't like. I don't know.
the Pelicans are up by like 20 plus point or like 15, 12 points or something. There's like 15
Okay.
seconds left. They get a breakaway ball. Zion picks it up, fucking runs across the court and just slams that shit on the Suns.
How much
like-
time left?
Like 15 seconds or something.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
30
Like
seconds.
the game,
I
the
didn't,
game's
I didn't know it was that bad.
game's out of reach.
No, but here's
Yeah.
my thing. Hold on. But it's not that bad because at the end of the day, like I said, the other team is still going to try to win. If the other team stole the ball, shot a 3, stole the ball, shot a 3, stole the ball, shot a 3, they're within 3 range to win the game, which is possible in 30
Yeah.
seconds. Okay? Should the other team
Reggie
stop
Miller did.
playing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Should the other
No,
team stop
because-
playing? Like,
So yeah, no, I get that approach because like you guys are saying, like the other team is still trying to win. So I completely understand like that approach, and I think I actually do lean in that way too. Because the only other thing I was thinking about is like this is reminding me of like the Rocket League rules, right? Like when two people are running into each other,
Yeah, like
the agreed
unwritten
upon the
rules.
gentleman's rule is like you guys do that forever.
You're
Yeah.
just axle lock.
But if
That's-
somebody's in game 7 of the fucking World Finals and he
No,
doesn't
bro.
do that,
No,
that's
no,
not poor
here's the thing.
sportsmanship. Like,
Here's the thing. If I'm a coach and we're up by 49 points in a football game, and I don't fucking care if it's NFL, college, any Pee-wee, right? Okay? And there's 10 seconds left, I'm fucking throwing a Hail Mary. Fuck you. I'm not kneeling the ball. Like,
Jared really said, "Fuck them kids."
no, for real, because here's the
Honestly,
thing.
I hate kneeling in general.
Like,
so.
here's my thing. If you want to stop it, then stop it. If you can't, get better. That's the way competition works. Now,
Yeah.
like, I just don't see, like, if the other team agrees, like, hey, guys, we're not going to do that. We don't want to run the score up. Like, you guys played a good game. That's cool sportsmanship to me. But I don't think it's bad sportsmanship to not do it. Like, if you want to keep playing the game, the fucking time's not clocked out. Because at the end of the day, those motherfuckers are still trying to knock your head off. Those motherfuckers are still trying to win. Like, so because
Right,
I'm
like-
ahead, I should stop? I don't know. I
In
just didn't see it.
in Zion's shoes, right? You steal the ball. Like, what do you do there? You throw the ball up in the air? Do you dribble around for 10 seconds?
Oh,
That's what they normally
like-
do is they dribble the ball.
Well,
for 10
it's like Jared said too. It's pretty like on that end of it. It's like you're pitying them, which is also a form of disrespect.
I find that
Exactly.
more
Right.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's worse.
Yeah.
It is honestly worse because you're now not even playing at your full potential, right? And you're not going to go down the court and dunk it on me. Like at that point,
Like you
I
feel
want
sorry
you
for
to.
me.
I
Right.
think,
Right. Like
think of,
I am a professional basketball player that plays on the same level as everyone else on this fucking court. I may not be as good, but the thing is that if I'm the one who had the ability to dunk like that and I made the steal, I'm doing the exact same thing. There's a mental game to sports
right.
that has to exist. And if you're putting the game away like that, you're shattering the fucking backboard. Guess what? That's what fucking happens.
I mean,
You got the term "get dunked on"
It's-
exists for a
you
reason.
hear all those stories about like Michael Jordan, right? You talk shit about
Right.
Michael Jordan. What did he do? He made you eat
He
your
would
fucking words.
fucking destroy
Dude,
you.
Think
Exactly, like-
about this. Think about the season that Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Everyone was so mad at Cam Newton for fucking Supermaning and fucking hitting I forgot what that shit was called.
Yeah,
What is that? I don't even remember.
I don't fucking
Hey,
remember.
Yeah.
that, whatever
And
that is.
people were
That fucking shit.
he said that. Hey. But people were so mad about him doing that. Where they were up 24 points, he ran in a touchdown, did that shit again, and the defender's like all in his face, and he just fucking hit that shit in his face again. And then after the game, they're like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "If you don't want me to score, then stop me from scoring." I was like,
Right.
I'm like, my man, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the other team is not going to stop playing because you want them to.
So-
And it's competition, and you're at the same level. If it was a Pee-wee football team versus an NFL team, then showing pity is classy because there's no way for them to compete. It's for fun at that
Right.
point. But when it's
Yeah.
for competition, it's your fucking job and all that shit. Like, Zion, well, every fucking year you hear about players and like, oh, points per game, this, blah, blah, blah. They get paid
Yeah.
for their stats. So shit, if he wants to dunk with 20, 30, 10 seconds, 5 seconds left, I'm like, dude, slam that
Go
shit
for it.
because the fucking crowd also went fucking crazy. Like, the Pelicans crowd was on fire after he did that.
Yeah.
Like, they were hype as fuck.
Which
And that's what they're there
that's
for.
all mental
Mhm.
shit.
Right.
I mean, you go to a fucking football game, right? Me and my dad were just talking about how corny the fucking like the death ringing of the bell. You know what I'm talking about? The dong on like third down, right? And the
Oh,
defense
yeah,
is
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to make
yeah.
a big, you know, that fucking dumbass shit that the stadium plays, or like Pittsburgh with their fucking terrible towels,
Right.
like chants and shit. That's all supposed to be mental game shit, and
It
it's not
is.
even in the game. It's not from players. It's the
No.
fucking crowd. Like.
I-
There's
yeah.
a reason that there's rallies and shit like that in like third quarter, fourth quarter, 2-minute drill type shit. It's because of the mental game.
Like, when you
It's
think
because
about
of pace. Like,
Right.
I just don't get that shit.
like you think about Seattle, right? Seattle has been on the Richter scale for how loud their crowd gets. They're known as
Yeah.
like the 12th player on the field because of the presence that they bring to the other team, which is one,
Right.
daunting when you have that many people against you, right? It's
Yeah.
like subconsciously, I imagine it's very daunting. On top of that, it's harder to hear. It's like the energy
Right.
in the room is against you now. So everything you
Right.
do, you're working in the negative. That's why home field advantage exists. Like, that's the
Mhm.
whole part of
Right.
it, is that there's more people on your side, and I just think it plays into that. And even then, like esports and shit, like there was a Rocket League
I was
game
going to bring that up
where
too.
like the one team scored eight. It was 8-0. They scored 8 goals against another pro team.
Mhm.
Like, great, good job. Maybe stop 8
Yeah.
goals from hitting the back of your net next time. Like,
Right.
like what
Yeah.
do you want me to feel bad?
Like,
Like,
literally, this term comes down to like this is a situation that comes down to get good.
no, for real.
this,
like,
this is one of those situations.
Well, that's the thing is like people don't. It's getting into that everybody gets a trophy fucking area of talk, right? Like
Yeah.
growing up, did you get a fucking participation trophy with every year that you played sports? No, you didn't. Not every fucking year. Not every league had that shit. You know why? If you didn't win enough, you didn't get a trophy.
Dude, my first year
That's
playing
just
football,
life.
Your
first-
participation trophy is participating.
My first
Right.
year playing football, I got
It's
to
that
play
practice
on.
jersey you get to take
I got
home.
to play on like the newer team, and I don't think we won a single game. Like I played great,
Right.
you know, but our team fucking sucked because we had all the shitty kids that were like new to football, right? But like none of us got a fucking trophy for playing football because it was like, bro,
Right.
you didn't win a game, dog. Like, what do you want a trophy
Right.
for? Like, I don't-
I mean,
Well,
shit,
it's-
there were
it's also
times.
like-
You remember halftime oranges? Remember that shit? Halftime orange slices,
oranges, bro.
right?
Holy shit!
You sit there, you get a
Good
little
old
mini
days.
Gatorade and a fucking, orange slice, right? There was a fucking game. I forget what happened. We were just getting our ass beat. Like everybody had their fucking like
They took the
head
orange
just
slices
square up
away?
their ass, and they were like, "Yo, no, no Gatorades, no fucking orange slices. Y'all are playing like fucking idiots. like,
Hey,
we ain't doing that
next
shit.
Next week, y'all come to player. There's no orange slices again. Like,
Right? No orange slices, no little bags of chips, nothing.
that's so funny.
Dude,
Well,
I
we're
remember
getting
the
into a deeper
worst-
conversation now.
the worst practice I'd ever had was a practice after we won a game. We didn't even lose. We just only won by fucking 2 points. And yeah, I that was easily the worst fucking practice I've ever had of all time.
But here's the thing,
Whoa.
right? At the end of the day, even though you were winning by 2, like the other team never stopped playing. And I get
Right.
like, oh, they have time to score 2 points. Well, technically, things could go really awry, and now they have time to score 10. They have time to score 14. They have time to score 21 points.
Yeah.
So why
Looking
let
at you,
off the
Jeff.
gas?
Well, now you also question like some of these other moments where teams made a comeback. It was like, was it because that other team like took the gas off, right? Because they were ahead,
Dude, you
and they
can't.
were just like,
That's if
throwing
that's the
that pity at
reason.
them.
If that's the reason that shit happens and a team comes back and wins the game because you let off the gas, that is 150% your fault.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying like this speaks into the conversation we're having about like, if Zion didn't do that and he allowed you, to take the ball and shoot your threes and all that stuff, like then you create a different moment where it's like you made a comeback instead of now everyone being mad because he solidified.
You
the
turn
lead.
into the conversation of why didn't you dunk it, right? Instead of
Right.
like, why did you? It's like, imagine if in that Tom Brady Falcons Super Bowl, it's 28-3. Imagine if the Falcons just put up fucking 28 more points. Like, that offense
Right.
stopped fucking playing. That defense stopped playing. Now, you can say, like, oh, they were still trying. I'm like, yeah, but they thought they won. The mental part of the game kicked
Right.
in. Like, the moment Tom Brady scored one time, everyone was like, holy shit,
Nah,
they're
the moment we
going to
saw
win.
Tom Brady sitting on the bench like that, bro.
Oh, the fucking towel.
As soon,
Yeah,
as soon
bro.
as we saw that,
Quarter 4
everyone
Brady
should
in the
have been
Super
scared.
Bowl, it's GG, dude. Like,
Yeah.
but truly, like that's all it comes down to, because now the narrative changes and that game will forever live in infamy because you fucking fumbled it so hard. So hard. It's like, isn't that the worst? That's the only
That's the
comeback of
biggest
that
comeback
size
in
in Super
Yeah.
Bowl history.
Super Bowl
From
history.
that deficit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like that's Matt Ryan's legacy for his career. For his career. Every
Right.
time you bring up Matt Ryan, you know what they say? 28-3. Like,
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
So-
if he wins that Super Bowl, he's like solidified Hall of Famer probably.
no, not just that. He's in the conversation of like guys who beat Brady, like in the Super
Right.
Bowl. Eli
Right.
Manning, I forgot
Nick
who the
Foles.
fuck. Nick Foles. Thank you. That's
Nick
another one I was
Foles.
thinking of. Right?
Uh,
Like it just
but that moment, right, goes from solidified Hall of Famer for Matt Ryan to probably not even making it into the Hall of Fame now, right?
yeah, he 100% that season was MVP. Everyone was saying he's going to make it to the Hall of Fame. He's going to lead the Falcons, blah, blah, blah. After that happened, everyone thinks he's a bad quarterback. He went to Indianapolis. They're like, I just don't know if Matt Ryan has the ability to win a Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, because he let off the fucking gas. Like, that's
Yeah.
like what we talk about before with athletes, like the killer instinct type of thing. Like, you
Yeah.
just have to murder him. Like,
The finisher.
So the whole like I don't know, I kind of want to ask you guys a different question because you guys are all more into like sports and stuff than I am. Like I'm very like I just played it, when I was younger and stuff like that. And I haven't really
Yeah.
gotten into it much after.
Yeah.
But in football specifically, like how do you guys feel about spikes and kneeling? Because I personally do
So,
like,
okay,
Are you
I
talking
don't-
about
so-
like taking your knee at the end of the game?
or just like,
like-
taking the knee to run the clock or
Yeah.
spiking
So
to stop
so
the
I
clock.
think that that's smart. I think that that's a
Because
part of the
like
game.
I
that-
personally feel like the players like you just don't play that down, and it's just
Well,
it feels very awkward.
So I mean, at the end of the game, right? If you're taking the knee, one, you're preserving your players from injury, right? Because like even if you're like, hey, it's football, right? It's a collision sport. I run the ball to run the clock out, right? I risk that running back, my lineman, my quarterback, everybody else's health and injury. So I think that taking a knee just flat out is just smart, right? If your defense played hard enough to give you the ball back, to have the ability to take a knee at the end of the game, that other offense doesn't deserve the ball back anyways, or a chance to get the ball back, right? So you're taking that away. It's just a smart play to run the clock out. As far as spiking the ball and celebration and stuff goes, I think that shit's fine, right? It's when
No, I
it
think he's
takes
talking
like
about
I don't think
stopping the
he's stop-
clock. via
or
spiking
stopping the clock. Oh,
Yeah.
that's just old school football. I think
I
just
actually-
running up and being able to stop the clock.
No, I'm saying like, I personally am not a big fan of that stuff, so I'm seeing how you guys feel about it.
So
I mean-
so the running up, stopping the clock, but you lose a down. That just makes sense, right? Like you're trying to get a couple more plays in, or one or two more plays in, where you can actually get some kind of clock stoppage. But you're losing it down. You're losing an entire down that you could run a play by having to stop the clock that way.
Yeah, you're taking advantage of a mechanic that's built into the game, right? Like
Right.
anytime an incomplete pass is thrown, the
Exactly.
clock stops.
Right.
So that's just strategy, and you're utilizing it to the best of your ability. Whereas there are negative trade-offs to it. You do lose an extra down, and
You
know,
lose yardage.
Time
you,
on-
you lose yardage.
Yardage.
Exactly. So At that
Time-
point
time
in
on the
time where
clock.
you're having to spike the ball, it's like the greatest enemy you're facing at that moment as an offense is time. It's not
Yep.
the actual other team. It's just time. So you're taking advantage of certain mechanics that are in the rules of the game to your advantage, basically.
Right.
I agree with the spiking part because it's exactly that. There's so many offsetting reasons as to why it also sucks for you, and you're fighting the ultimate clock and the distance, right? But for kneeling, I personally don't like kneeling because I'm just like, can we just play football? Like, why don't we just throw in the second string offense, get the quarterback some snaps? I don't know. That's just me. That's my thought, right? I'm not a fan of kneeling. I think it's whack. I think it's boring. Because it's just giving up. I don't know.
I personally hate it when they kneel to end the first half of the game.
Oh my god, yeah, right. The
No,
second.
That-
that is super.
That
Like,
part.
they're like, there's like 20 seconds left. I'm like, you know how much you could do in 20 seconds? It's
Yeah,
like
right.
first
Dude,
down.
Yeah,
it takes
this
first
is
and 10.
literally why you play drills for this. Like,
Yeah.
It takes
Like-
Nick 15 seconds to come. So think of what you can do in 20.
that's
5
5
seconds extra?
seconds.
That's recovery time.
Anyways, so yeah, it's like first and 10. You're on your own 30. Like 70 yards. Yeah, that's an uphill battle, sure, but you got 2 timeouts or whatever, and there's 20 seconds left, and it's a tie game. Like,
You could also throw a pick.
oh, you could, but like, that's fucking football. That's the point,
Dude,
right?
Right.
Like,
my thing is
what
like,
are what are the odds? I guarantee you, the odds are more in your favor of scoring a Hail Mary than of throwing a pick six. In that instance,
yeah, that's probably true. Pick sixes don't happen often, but
And I mean,
I think-
that's more of what I was talking towards. Is like what Jared was answering. It's like he finds the kneeling boring and stuff like that. Like that's how I feel about the spiking and the kneeling. Like I understand the strategy and I understand why it's in the game. I'm just saying like they're not playing the game to me.
yeah.
Like you're playing outside the game now, right? Like this is a game between the coaches now.
So I mean, if you were playing oddball, right, which is just keep
and
away.
you throw the
You're
crown
playing,
off the. Off
you're playing keep away, and you're at, winning. Are you giving the other team a chance to take the crown from you, or are you just running away? Are you gonna turn and fight people, or are you just gonna play keep away?
I mean, that
It's
was
kind of
a dumb
that same
question to
thing
ask me,
as
Sean.
I
Like I said,
know what
understand
you're
the
gonna do.
I understand the strategy. Like I said, I understand the strategy behind it. I was just asking how you guys feel about like I understand the mechanic of the game. I understand why you do it, when you do it. I'm more
So-
seeing how you guys actually feel about it in
Yeah,
general.
my thought
Like, do you
process
guys
on
just
it
accept it
is,
because it's been a part of the game, or do you guys truly like the the
well,
idea? Of it?
in reality, the way that I think about it is there's literally zero way around it, right? Because instead of kneeling, what's stopping you from just snapping the ball and holding on till you get tackled? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. There's no real difference other
Right.
than the fact that you're taking a little bit of contact and you're being tackled to the ground.
Right.
But you just stood in the same spot and the clock is going to run anyways, right? Like there's no
There's no reason to take
counterplay.
the contact. Yeah.
Exactly. That's more of what they're getting at. You're just basically saying, okay, well, this is what we're doing. We're kneeling so that we can run time off the clock.
And it's the same as like if you were to spike the ball, like, oh, everyone go run a route so I can throw it to the dirt at your feet real quick. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same shit. What's to stop you from doing it? It's the same concept.
You're just
It's
cutting
just-
out the excess,
The middleman.
there.
The
Yeah.
excess to make it go on to the next thing. But I do think doing it before a half is whack as fuck because
Yeah.
for like a coach, how do you not trust your team to like score, or try to score, or get in field goal range? I don't know. Wild concept to me. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't trust you not to throw a pick here, so we're just gonna knee. I'd be like, fuck you, I'm audibling this shit.
Right. You better believe
honestly-
if I'm a coach and there's 1 second left, I'm doing some schoolyard bullshit.
Look, if I was the
Like-
Seahawks, I'd throw that ball too.
Okay.
There's strategy behind that. Hold on. However, I'm still handing it to Marshawn Lynch.
I don't know how much.
But-
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how much
Hold on,
strategy
listen.
there is when you
There
got
is
pieces going back
there's
and forth.
strategy there because they did that all year where they're throwing on second down. But let's not even get into that because I think that's a good place to end episode 15.
Yeah.
So thank you guys all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I know we kind of went a lot into sports this time, but I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We also just released episode 14. They'll release at the same time, so check both of those out. And we hope you guys have a good one. We'll see you on the next episode, on episode 16.
Appreciate you guys.